Bronco sport. And I'm really honoured to be part of Bronco's debut here in South Korea, even if it is just virtually via webcam. I understand people have been really eager to see the Bronco finally touch down in South Korea, and well, here it is. I'm certainly glad the wait is over, and I'm especially looking forward to seeing Bronco help open up the wild in your market, just as it's been doing over here in North America. Me and my team have been living the Bronco life for 5 years now. We're dedicated to it. It's everything that we do. Members of my team drive vintage Broncos and new Broncos every day. I could talk for hours and hours about Bronco, its heritage and its philosophy, and what has made it the icon that it is today. But in the interest of time, I'll just stress that Broncos aren't just cool trucks to look at. They look like they do because they're built before. The overhangs are short, the contact areas are robust, the off-road capability is really high, the visibility out is brilliant, and because our modularity concept allows customers to make any Bronco their Bronco, and they can do so really easily. Our human-centered design methodology means we design our trucks to provide standout functionality to the specific groups who want one, and it will be appreciated by our owners. But more than anything, the essence of a Bronco is rich, human, enduring stories, adventure, togetherness, and shared experiences. When we set out to design the new Bronco family, we knew we had to deliver on two key priorities. They had to look like a Bronco and they had to work like a Bronco. So let's all level set. What makes a Bronco a Bronco? Well, Bronco is a brand made of 1 million personal stories, and it's so much more than just a truck. And we all felt a huge responsibility to get that right. And we needed to define a single vision, and we did that in two different ways. With defining the graphics and the architecture, and defining the key imagery. So let's look at the face. You can see a single piece grille, two round lines bisected with perfect geometry by a bar that carries the name. And we have a separate bumper. And a flat, simple body side with a swage line to add stiffness into the metal. Then we have peaked front fenders to help the driver see the corners. And at the rear, we have simple one-piece tail lamps. It's simple, and it's pure, and it's redacted, and it's iconic. And our guiding imagery words were trusted and carefree. But in a way, that's just styling. So we needed to go far deeper, and to do that, we swung off the usual road, and we went just a little bit wild. Now, Ford has an awesome product development process, but we just couldn't squeeze enough Bronco into it. So we needed to stretch that process to fit our ambition. So we developed a new human-centered methodology as we developed the truck. We broke boundaries, and I often say to my team, guys, I know it's not the normal approach, but we haven't done anything weird in ages. Let's see where this takes us. And we learned from those sorts of adventures. We made low-fidelity models out of simple materials, packing material, which actually drove our shops crazy. And here's a little taste of what the design process was really like.
We put the humans in the centre of our thinking, and we skipped a whole bunch of typical studio processes. What we did was we do like movie producers, we storyboarded. And it's here in the storyboards that the themes emerge, not from the usual car, design, sexy sort of design artwork, but from ideating key moments and identifying real-world issues and deriving the appearance as we develop the solutions. Like, how do you tie a canoe down safely without the rope scratching the paint on the hood or the headlights, or you having to lie in the dirt looking for something underneath the truck to tie off against? So those activity doodles went straight to fast CAD and to virtual reality, as well as to foam core and duct tape. Then we found we didn't have enough wild VR environments to fit Bronco into, so we created new VR environments. And then when we realized that that wasn't enough, we wrote new code. We actually changed the program so we could experience the themes much better. I don't think Ford has ever developed a product in this way. And outside of work, we got on the trails and into the desert, and we got into the dunes, and we hung out with the experts, and we quietly stalked the forums, and we constantly kept on learning. And some of the team either drive daily or are building their own Broncos as well. So therefore, I hope you understand, I promise you, Bronco is the first thing that we think about every single day, and it is the last thing on our minds when we go to sleep. We live this. We were inventing a process, we were innovating like crazy, and we were getting up to quite a lot of creative mischief. And we were set to start making it real. So we pressed buttons marked print and mill. And the Bronco, as you'll see it, began to emerge. It's a Bronco that's fit for the wild. There's nothing on this truck that is superfluous. Everything exists on it for a reason. There's no decorative chrome or extraneous styling. It's modern because it's designed for function, not fashion. And that means super short overhangs, aggressive approach, departure, and breakover angles with slim hips for off-road agility, and everything is exactly where you would need it. Getting that stuff right is much harder than you think, which probably explains why it's so rare. So let's break it down. Notice the upright windshield for great visibility. Notice the single-piece grille. The round lights bisected with perfect geometry by a bar with Bronco, not Ford this time, proudly written on it. Look at the peaked fenders. And we took that smart feature further and we grew those peaks into what we call the trail sights. You can tie things off against them without scratching your paint, or your lights, or lying in the dirt. You can swap them out or bolt on extra lights or GoPros, or, and especially if you're shorter, you can simply use them to tell you where the corners of the truck are, which just goes to show that innovation doesn't always need a microchip. And of course, the doors have to come off. So how can we maximise open air without that? However, Bronco has frameless doors, doors that stow on board. So what we have is a quick release, light alloy doors that stow all four of them on board. You can take them off when the sun comes out, and you can throw them back on when the rain comes. That is a world first. And the mirrors stay on the body too, which saves weight and saves space, and keeps our occupants and everyone around them safe. And to protect them, they're in bags that also help lift them on and off. This is pure human-centered innovation. And it's difficult to achieve in so many ways. But when you put the customer at the centre of your thinking and you're hell-bent on doing everything to make things better for them, it's well worth it. And each composite part is smaller than normal to make handling easier, lighter, and to make storage less of an issue. And just look at the view. There's no crossbar at the B pillar, and that means that the rear passengers will get an awesome view up. It is, by far away, the best seat in the house. And how about those pure, simple lines and the slim hip stance? So needless to say, Bronco is complex and innovative, and it's actually very ambitious. And that carries right through to the interior. We kept a first generation instrument panel in the studio for inspiration, but it actually turned out to be really useful. So visually we took a simple full width contrasting colour panel, but when it came to the top roll, we discovered the most extraordinary coincidence. Well, the original top roll overhung the main instrument panel with a cutaway for the steering wheel, hand clearance. But 50 years later, we needed that top roll to shade the big screens. And yet we still needed the hand clearance. And also the airbag needed that top roll for its optimized deployment. So we ended up with a very similar outcome, but for totally different and modern reasons. And when you're flying over the trails like we have, how do you hold yourself in place? Well, we took our bruised heads back home and we spent a lot of time coming up with a better solution. Console and instrument panel grab handles. Now they're positioned to triangulate the passenger, aid ingress, and for somewhere to hang on to when the wheel isn't flat any longer. Now these handles are modular, they're customizable, removable grab handles. You can remove them and replace them to suit your need. And as for those hero switches, they're one-piece silicone rubber parts, so they can get wet and dirty, just like the other controls, no problem. And we heard all along about how important it is for Bronco drivers of being with each other, their friends and their family or their driving buddies. So we made the rear of the vehicle a social space. Bronco has a wide-opening swing gate. So before your adventure, it makes for a great place to prep your gear. And after your adventure, if you want a cold drink and a chill, we included a built-in bottle opener. But you'll need somewhere else to sit, so we developed a slide-out tailgate. It's a better place to sit and just watch the sun go down. Let's talk about colours. Now, Bronco is known for its spirited colour palette, and the tradition continues with a combination of bright colours and tones pulled from nature. Rich clays, desert tans, and watery blues. And those materials are there to function as well as look and feel fantastic. And we'll have 11 paint colours from the start, from bright ones to those drawn from the landscape, including cactus grey, area 51, antimatter blue, and cyber orange. It's going to look great on the track. Now, one last essential detail we had to get right, the Bronco badge. Now, inspired by the classic on the left, but it's now more muscular, less playful, as you can see on the right. And we took this really seriously, especially the tips of the hooves. In fact, we had heated meetings just about the tips of the hooves and getting just those right. And it is ridiculous in a way, but it shows you that on Bronco, every detail matters. Now let's talk about modularity. There's no such thing as a standard Bronco because every Bronco is now different. Every Bronco has had adventures, and those adventures created memories and stories to be passed on. And we were lucky enough to hear some of those stories. And they were deep and personal stories. In fact, I witnessed the grown-up burly men moved to moist eyes as they told me what Bronco meant to them. You see, Bronco isn't just a truck, it is personal. Making a Bronco your Bronco is part of that journey, and modularity is the enabler. And we discovered that modularity was an enabler back in the 60s. We heard those stories, and we saw what modularity did for the first generation truck. So we thought we could do something with that. So here's an early model. It's pretty wild. We've actually never made anything quite like it. But you know how things are in this industry. Things get watered down. Well, a production truck is pretty much as interchangeable as this. Customers in this segment will spend thousands of dollars personalising their trucks, and with Bronco, they'll keep making changes throughout its long life. Modularity, the way that we've done it, will make that easy. So what stories will the new truck enable?
So it's great to see such huge interest regarding the design of the Bronco in South Korea. I'm really looking forward to seeing the response from the market. And finally, congratulations to the Ford Korea team on this launch, and thank you.
네, 뉴 브롱코